Hello everyone, it's good to have you all back in the Discrete Text Color platform. And we can all recall from our last video. If you've not seen it, please endeavor to look at the last video where we had to get everything up and running on a Linux machine or Linux machine, whichever one you choose to call it. And in today's video we are going to progress into coding proper. The history of C will be told at a later time, but in today's video we're going to look at how to create variables, which is a very important concept in programming in general, and we'll just dive right straight into that. For most of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be typing our code in the command line. So let's get right straight into it. For today's video we're going to do touch. Actually, to create a file, this is like one way. I could just say touch, then the file name. So I'll say to_, let's say variables dot c. So we actually need there are different conventions or different formats of creating a file in general in C. So one of which is I used to_. It all has to be together. I can't come down right here and say to space underscore, like it doesn't work. This is actually going to create two files, but then two can't really work like as a file name, but then it's going to create two files, assuming I had touch we and space variable.c. I'm actually going to have like two files, so just as you can see here, which is not what I want. So I'm going to remove we and I'm going to remove variable.c. This is not what I want. So to create a file, we're going to do touch, let's say variable. Okay, we used 2 before now, so let's do 2. So the idea is to keep the videos as short and as precise as possible. So and let's dive into our program. So I could just do code and to still the same thing as you could just come here and double click. So now the first thing you have to do when creating a C file, when you've already named the C file, would be to include the header file. So this is where this include comes in, and the header file I want to include is the standard input and output.h. So this header file actually contains a lot of functions and a lot of, let's call them, ingredients that the C in general understands. Like it has a lot of functions and a whole lot of things. For starters, it has a lot of things that will make our programs work. So for example, let's say int main, which is a function that returns an integer or something like that. So the basic structure, let's take this down a little so you can see it. So recall that the whole idea is to create a variable. So a variable is like a container, like holds a value. So, and to do that in C, one of the many ways of creating a variable in C is I can say int, let's say int number, or let's say int age. Now you can create a variable without, let's include a return 0, without like initially, you can create without initially assigning something into that variable, let's say the data into that variable, or you can assign data into that variable, let's say 25. So I just created an integer variable and assigned an integer into that variable. This is one way. And to see this variable, like what is contained inside this variable, I have a method provided for me, something provided for me. Let's not go into the method. So called the printf. So this is a printf function, and see, it's so unique that you just have to ensure that you include the semicolon, unlike Python and some other higher level programming languages. So I want to see what age is. I can't come down here and say print age. So let's see this and let's try and see how it works. So let me just hit my F5 key. So see, I have like an error. So there's an error that I can't do this. So I have like a segmentation fault, so which I will explain, has to do with like the buffer memory stuff. So let's cancel this. I already did the setup. If you don't understand how the setup works or why we had to hit the F5 key, please check the previous video. Or if all this if the F5 key and the setup bores you, could just do GCC to compile the code. You do 2 underscore variable, then you can say, okay, I want it to be called 2 underscore, and I have like an error too, so compilation terminated. So the next thing we have to do is to fix this error. So the error is because you can't just print something out with the variable name. So C provides you with a format specifier. Okay, what do you want to print out? Say for example, I want to print out I know this is an integer, the value of this variable is an integer. I need to specify it here. That's like one thing about C. So I need to specify it here and say, okay, I want to print out an integer. So you get the point. So I get to save, and let's do this again. Let me hit the F5 key. Yeah, so and you can see this time it worked. So let's go into our bin, cd bin. You can already see here that it worked. We have 25 here, cd bin, and inside my bin I have /2 underscore, yeah. So and I have 25. Yeah, I needed to include like a new line. So after the output, the next content appears on the new line. So let's compile again. Let's do cd and leave, and let's compile again. Yeah, compilation worked fine. Let's go into bin, and let's execute the file, or let's run the executable file 2 underscore, and we have 25. You can still go ahead and say, okay, I am years old. So let's compile again, and let's execute our file. So I'm 25 years old. So C doesn't work like, you know, in JavaScript you could just declare and console.log, or you get to see it. But see, you need this format specifier, and to this format, this actually means integer. We have double, we have a lot of them, so I can still use double, but for this presentation we are using integers. So when creating a variable, it mustn't be number. So we are actually going to make progresses where we look at how to, you know, create variables that would hold strings. That's a sequence of characters or an array of characters, and also how to collect inputs from users and print them. But to keep this video very short, this is just it on how to create variables. We can also like create a character. I can just say first, which is out of the scope of this presentation. Then I can just come down here and say printf, and now back to what I mentioned before, we need like a format specifier. This is not an integer, it's a character, so I need to now come here and say first. So you get the idea. So when I save this and I run my code, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, we actually have just a little problem. It's not really an issue. So because this is just a single character, I need like single quotes. So let's run again and see. So you see the error popped out, so A. So I can just, so let's do something awesome here. Say the first, okay, now here, the first letter is, you know, something like that. Let's include like a new line, and let's compile again. So the first letter is A. So and many other ways. So we've actually seen how to, you know, create variables, and in the next video we're going to look at some other concepts in C, and make progress as we continue in this series. So have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful morning and evening, or whatsoever situation you're currently in. I just want you to know that try to make it wonderful, and see you in our next presentation. Bye.